Did I forward it to you? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they can all get along, you betcha.
It depends on how we word the license agreement. I'll have to look at it, see what it says.
Did we do that one pretty quickly?
It probably, I don't know that it would be intended to reset the whole,
Yeah, it was a really
Thing.
short meeting.
Yeah.
could. I don't know how far, are we, what, 20, are we 5 years into 25 years now? Or
This one may not be
I
quite.
don't know how many years we're into it. Oh, so we're 10 years into 20 years.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's all up to Chris. See how he does tonight.
We've been doing that for 10 years? It seems like a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Holy cow.
All right, I show it's 4:30, so we'll go ahead and call to order the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Call the roll, please.
Ellis,
Here.
Barner,
Here.
Klessen,
Here?
Sudbury,
Here.
Portillo,
Here.
Dool, Lloyd.
Here.
All right, next on our agenda is the meeting minutes from December the 9th.
I make a motion they be approved as written.
We got a motion from Farner,
Second.
second from Portillo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting minutes are approved. We have nothing under unfinished business, and we only have one item under new business. We have a public hearing for zoning variance 2024-57054, a variance request on the 7-foot side building setback in an R1 zoning district for a house currently under construction at 4 Middleton Lane. Planner Hyatt.
All right, thank you. This property is located in the eastern area of Bella Vista city limits and is Lot 18, Block 7 of the North Riding subdivision. Zoning Code Section 10975B3C requires a minimum side setback of 7.5 feet from the property line. The applicant's requesting a variance from the 7.5 foot side setback for the primary structure for an eave that encroaches up to 9 inches. The site in question was previously under development with an owner/contractor. Permits had been pulled back in February of 2021, and a framing inspection was never passed, with the latest attempt to schedule an inspection for that in July of 23. However, work continued to near completion. That permit expired and a stop work order was placed on the property in November of 2023. And the prior owner then abandoned the property and listed it for sale in May of 2024. The current applicant then acquired the property and began meetings with staff to clean up violations and start the permitting process from the beginning. We had asked for an as-built of the property, to which he supplied, and it was discovered that the previous owner had encroached on the side setback. There's about a 14-foot span of the roof eave that encroaches up to 9 inches at its furthest point, thus requiring the need for a variance. Per the master street plan and future land use maps, this parcel is located along a non-classified street and is within a low-density land use area. The applicant's also in process of review with the ACC. We have not received any public comment at this time. Staff did publish a legal ad notifying the public of the public hearing on Wednesday, December 22nd, and a public hearing sign was posted on the property on January 3rd. Staff does not recommend approval of the request.
All right, any questions for staff? All righty, at this point, yep, I'm sorry.
I guess I'm just wondering why? Only because you found out there were other issues as well? Is that why you're saying you wouldn't approve it?
No, just the,
We
well,
have, we have to find all three zoning requirements
Okay,
to be met before we can recommend approval, and we could not find all three with this.
fair
Yeah.
enough. Thank you.
Hang on. Was there any work done after it was purchased? Do you know?
no,
Okay.
or not to my knowledge. He, the current owner had met with us prior to purchasing the property, so we kind of walked through the history of the property, where it was at. It was mostly complete under the previous owner before the stop work order.
But never inspected?
Not past the framing,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
I'd
Yes,
like to
ma'am.
ask, so a framing inspection was never passed with the latest attempt to schedule one, July 23rd, 23. So it never got inspected at the framing point. Right?
It had a failed inspection, I believe. There was never a follow-up to
So it
fix
failed
any
inspection.
corrections. Yeah,
And so there was no follow-up, and they just kept building.
correct.
Okay.
Did you state that the current applicant met with staff prior to purchasing this house and was aware of the issues?
Yeah, so we had walked through kind of the history, the stop work order and everything before he did purchase the property. So the discussions were had if we would need to start the permitting process over if he was to purchase it. And so, to which he did. We started fresh. That was when we requested the as-built be submitted, to which he then supplied an as-built when we discovered that there was the overhang with the eave.
Any other questions for staff? If not, the applicant, go ahead and approach the podium. If you go ahead and state your name and address, and you can have up to 15 minutes to address the planning commission with any comments that you have in regards to the staff report, your request, or anything else.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My name's Stephen McNutt, current owner of 4 Middleton Lane. I don't live there, obviously. I live in Centerton. One correction, I had purchased the house when I first called the meeting with Dylan and Christopher. I had gone to the city with the original plot plans that I got from the realtor, and the original building permit and all the pertinent information that he supplied me. Then I went to the website, I called Mickey, and she walked me through the process of what I'd need to do prior to buying the house. Once I went through that, felt comfortable. I saw that it had failed framing, but I felt comfortable that there wasn't anything, out of the major ordinary. So made an offer, bought the house, and then I got my affidavit for owner builder, and submitted that with the plot plans. And that's when Mickey informed me that there had been changes from the original plot plans to what was required now. And that was the eaves weren't on the originals, and I believe there were some topographical lines that had to be added. So I contacted the original, or tried to contact the original firm that did the plot plans, and he had passed away, sadly, and so the firm was no more. So that's when I thought, this is all uncharted water, I don't know what to do next. So that's when I called a meeting with the city and staff. I met with them and just basically laid out everything I had and said, here's what I have, what do I need to do to comply to get my permit to go forward. And they helped me immensely in telling me that I needed the as-built and new plot plan that, that had all this new stuff on it. So I went out and did that, and then when I got all that together, resubmitted to Mickey over at the permitting thing, everything was okay, she took it. I got an email a week or so later saying that I could expect the GEC permit within 4 or 5 weeks, and that the building permit would take 10 to 15 days. So about 15 days later, I got the GEC permit, but I hadn't heard anything about the building permit. And then a week or so went by, and that's when I got the first email that mentioned the variance. So that was the first time I ever even knew anything about that there was something wrong in that regard. And so immediately contacted Christopher again and started walking through the variance process, which I didn't know anything about. But so yeah, in reference to that, I did everything that they needed me to do, and then submitted the letter and started just kind of studying what I needed to do when I got here, which was let you know that when I purchased the house from the original owner, as was, 90% finished, thinking I was going to be able to get my permit and do whatever corrections needed to be done and finish the house. And that didn't happen because of this variance. So I closed in September, and I have a year to finish the house with a builder, a loan from the bank that is a construction loan. And I'm 4 months into that process so far and haven't done a thing. So that's starting to catch up. As far as the hardship part, if I can't move forward at this point, I don't know what I'll do. I just want to finish the house and live in it. It was my goal to live in Bella Vista. I've had friends here for years. I've been able to fish here, play golf here, and just love the place. So when I had the opportunity to get a house that I could finish, that I liked, I loved the lot and everything about it, I went for it. I didn't expect all this. I really didn't. So I've just been trying to do everything that I possibly can to move forward as quickly as possible and not miss anything along the way. And I don't know who this original guy was who built it from Adam, but you know, I didn't expect that he had left things the way they were. I don't even know if he knew he was off on the variance thing, who knows. But so my goal is to finish the house. That's what I really want to do. I did bring a visual aid. I don't know if it'll help at all, but this is just the amount of the 1,600 square foot house that is actually leaning or in this setback area. And bear with me, it's sometimes visual aid. So this is 9 inches by 14 feet. So that is in question. And so if, and Christopher did tell me that to come in compliance, I could just literally cut this section of the house off and we'd be good, which I thought about it seriously, but it just didn't make sense. I thought, well, there must be a better, more intelligent way than that. So this is basically the front corner part of the house, and then it just kind of pizzas its way back. So 9 inches at the beginning corner, and this is the eaves, mind you.
Okay.
The drainage would be affected because you're not going to have the gutter working properly in this corner, and so you're going to have water coming out from 12 feet splashing up against the side of the house. To do damage, so I think that's just one aspect of just if I had to do that in order to come into compliance. I just don't think it would look that good aesthetically having a square house with a small corner of it shaved off. I'm willing to do that if I have to, but I'm hoping I don't. Like I said, I just really want to finish the house and become a community member in Bella Vista.
Do you build other homes here in Bella Vista?
I'm not a builder.
Okay.
I'm in maintenance, and I work with a company that has all of the builders that I've known for 10 years now that do this sort of thing, the framers, and I've had them all lined up and ready to go since September, thinking I was going to, within a month or so, have my permit and we'd get busy. So I'll have electricians. Everybody's just kind of waiting to move on it. And I know enough about building, but I am not by trade a builder.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Where are you in the process with the ACC?
I'm sorry. I spoke to Bruce. He came out and looked at it originally, said everything looked fine. And then I spoke with him after Christopher brought up the ACC, and he said, no, there's nothing you need from us.
The ACC
Yes,
said
yeah.
that was,
That was it. He said, yeah, we're good to go in that respect. So I didn't follow up anymore after that.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, if you would go ahead and take a seat, sir. We're going to conduct the public hearing portion of the meeting.
I appreciate it.
You betcha. So at this time, we will go ahead and open the floor to the public for anybody that would like to address the Planning Commission. You'll have 5 minutes to address the Planning Commission, and if you would state your name and address when you come to the podium, please. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and ask the applicant to go ahead and approach the podium again. Commissioners, comments, thoughts? Yes, ma'am.
I will say that I'm extremely familiar with this property. I had it listed for sale in 2023, and the owner was, the original builder owner was fully aware that things were not kosher, as he was also living in the house without a C of O for quite an extended period of time. I ended up giving the listing back because I didn't want to get involved with any liability. So it's been a mess from the start. It's also a 3-bedroom house on a 1-bedroom septic. But it seems to me that rather than cutting off that eve at an angle, you could come down, go back at a right angle and come across, then you would still be able to properly install gutters, and that would solve your variance issue. Rather than going along the 9-inch, you know, the line that you have on your paper, if you came down, went back, and then you could install gutters properly and solve your drainage issue. And I'm sorry this was done to you. It was a mess from the beginning.
Yeah, it was a mess. Yeah, I agree.
So I'm assuming the original site plan submitted, it was all on the up and up, everything was outside the setbacks and,
Yes, the original one was showing the 8.5 or 8.1 feet. So I'm not aware of anything that stood out at the time of when it was prior to me being here, so I didn't have eyes on it originally, but I'm not aware of any issues that came up initially.
Do we have any photographs or
Yeah.
floor plans that you could pull up, Chris?
It may take me a minute, but I can get to them.
We'll take the time.
The whole front portion of this house is, across the front, is a 3-car garage, going back probably 25 or 30 feet. So this encroachment area is not on the, well, there's a second floor over the garage.
Yeah, I'd like to see the photographs.
It's a contemporary design, really nice house. My retirement home, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, 4 minutes. I'll have him pull up the street view also while I'm finding the
That's
photos.
fine.
Yeah. Lane.
That's a photo from the investigation of the occupying prior to C of O. There was an electric line, you can see it on the road running from the neighbor's house.
Yep.
Just to explain what we're looking at here.
Yes.
He lived there for quite a while. No, he was living in the house. Mostly upstairs was his bedroom.
That right corner there is that right there where the downspout is the, where the 9 inches starts.
How deep is that eve?
I think it's 18 inches.
Yeah.
based off of our other case, Mr. City Attorney, we ended up making a concession in exchange for a restriction for building any future homes in Bella Vista for a period of time. I don't think we particularly have, I mean, we can place that same criteria, and be consistent, but I do struggle with
You should struggle.
this.
You
and-
should
and
struggle
trying
with
to
it because
maintain-
there's, they have to have the, you all know. You don't need me to tell you, you know.
Well, it seems to me like, if we don't approve the variance, we're penalizing this man when he's not the guy who built the house wrong in the first place.
But that's not what you're not out to do fairness today. You're out to determine whether or not a variance should be granted, and then you have to look at whether or not the criteria have been proven to you. And one of those things says that a person can't create their own variance, nor can they solve the problem by selling it to the next buyer to, in turn, make it okay. You think about it, I mean, that would, you all are the decision makers. I don't make the decision, but I think you all are familiar with what their ordinance requires. I'm curious as to how long people have been, is there anybody living in the house now?
No. I'm
Okay,
not.
you're not living in it.
No,
Okay.
I have a place to live. I'm
Okay.
trying to finish it so I can live
Well, I
in it.
just heard people had been living in it. I didn't know if anybody was living in
The
it.
original owner that,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
That's the front, the entrance is actually on the left of the house, so in reality, the entrance faces the west. And I've gone in and cleaned it all up, cleaned it all out, done everything that I can do other than start building on it. Improved the lawn already, done everything that I could legitimately do up to this point to make it look a lot nicer than it did when I got it. It was a mess.
That as-built, Taylor, I'm gonna ask you, and then I think, did the surveyor come out and locate the corners of the structure? Is that how they do that? And then locate the line?
Yeah, and then that's what they're required to do for a survey,
Okay.
an on-site
so-
survey.
And they did that as far, there's no margin for error?
That's dependent on the stamp of the surveyor.
Okay.
But they're claiming as shown as is, that's what they're certifying is there at this moment.
Okay, well, that's all we have to go by. All right.
Daniel?
Can you bring the plot plan back up real quick, Addison? Do we have a full scale? Okay. All right, so we also signed it, just wanted to make sure.
I would point out to the commission a couple of things. One is, I think is to your credit, you tend to take these problems as personal to the city and to you, and now it's on you to make it right when you didn't create the problem. Number two, you have to keep in mind that this applicant may very well have legal causes of action to take against people that sold him the structure or the people that built it, if that's the same people. So, there are legal remedies out there outside of you having to fix it today one way or the other. So I just want to point those two things out to you.
Can I say one other thing?
Yes, sir.
I just wish I would have had the opportunity to know any of this so that I would have had the option to say, no, I can't buy this house because I can't afford to go through this.
Well, but you
And I-
have to understand, sir, that it's that old saying, ignorance of the law is no excuse, and all these requirements were on the books when you bought the house.
Yeah, but there
Not that
wasn't.
not that anybody would just know that.
I wouldn't have known that. I
but
mean, that's
I'm
not
just-
what I do for a living at all. I just thought the house was for sale. I went on the website and did all of that due diligence. I didn't see anything saying there was a potential for and there was already a plot plan on file that there had been a permit the house was built. I don't know, I just didn't think ever in my wildest dreams that something like this would be happening. So, yes, I can claim ignorance, but I didn't build it, I just bought it.
Could I ask the staff, were there other permits, or other inspections that were cleared before they reached the failure point that you talked about?
There was one.
What was that for?
That was the footing inspection.
Of course.
Yeah.
The what inspection?
The footing
footing.
inspection.
What I read about the framing inspection failure was that when they cut the doorways in, they hadn't put the deadbolts down back into, on either side of the door to compensate for that, and then the venting of the fans, and that was all I saw. I didn't see anything that was this critical at all. So I feel like even with the work I did to try and find something wrong, I couldn't find it if I wanted to, and only after the fact did this come up, so I just feel like I just didn't know.
To fully answer your question, there were 9 inspections on this, but several of them were failed or correction required. We had the footing, and then we had a slab termite inspection, a footing inspection, and then the framing is what just could not pass.
Okay, well, that was on down the line from the,
Yeah.
But the footing
Material point.
inspection passed?
Correct, the footing where they checked the rebar of the footing passed.
I think I'll say one more thing, then I'm not gonna say anything else. This is one of those cases where I think there's probably some justification for whatever decision you make here. I mean, I feel like there are a number, every property's different, so you don't need to go ahead and just compare this point for point with prior issues that we've had on other properties. This one's different. So I guess I would say that if there was ever a point where there would be a challenge, I think the facts are different. And so I'm not saying you have to do one thing or the other, as I said here.
Fair enough.
May
Yes,
I ask
ma'am.
a question? After a framing inspection fails, what happens? They are supposed to correct it and then call you again, right?
Correct, they fix whatever issues we sent, they call again, and we keep inspecting it and possibly charging a reinspection fee until they get it right.
Okay, so
If they call.
if they call, okay. And if they don't call, is there some sort of follow-up? I mean, because it worries me that work still continued, and you said there was 9 inspections. So if one of them fails, shouldn't have, and they don't follow up, say, within 30 days?
We don't have a mechanism like that currently in our permitting software. All of the responsibility falls on the contractor to ensure that they're following the building codes and getting their required inspections.
We have a small staff managing over 900 building permits.
Okay,
One thing I
see
would,
that, but,
one thing I would add to that point is they get a failed result on it, on, say, this framing inspection. Well, let's just say they just kept building. Well, then they put in the electrical wire and the plumbing, and they do all this other stuff. They're not gonna get a clearance on that either. Ultimately, they're not gonna get a certificate of occupancy. So, I mean, that is always the hammer that we have, is the denial of the certificate
and that's
of
what I'm saying.
occupancy.
There were other inspections done after the framing that passed.
No.
No.
It never made it past framing.
Never call, okay, that's what I'm
He
getting at.
kept building and moved in without contacting
Okay,
the city.
that's what I was getting to.
And that's
Okay.
whenever staff was notified about this project because of the wire across the street, and we investigated, code enforcement got involved, and the stop
Gotcha.
work orders
Okay.
placed, yeah.
And
Wanted
the intrusion is the overhang, it's not the foundation?
Correct, it's
Correct.
the overhang,
Okay.
it's the eaves.
Yeah, it's about half of the eave is hanging over it, the furthest point.
Any other comments or statements from the commission?
Yeah, I'll just mention that I bugged him for months and months and months to get the framing done so he could get the inspections up to date. And I think he didn't do it because he didn't have the money and he didn't want them to see he was living in the house. So
Yeah, but
that,
that's.
I know, that was,
That's
that's
really not relevant to the
past history, I
conversation.
understand.
Yeah, that's really not relevant to the conversation today. Any other questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve variance? Apologize, I've flipped around so much. Variance 2024-57054, a request to vary the 7.5-foot side building setback.
So moved.
Got a motion from Farner,
Second.
second from Dool. Call the roll, please.
I'm sorry, was that Dual or Sudbury?
It was Dool. They went at the same time, so I called Dool as a second. I hear better on the left side, so I went with Susan. Yeah.
Farner,
Yes.
Sudbury,
No.
Plesson,
No.
Lloyd,
no.
Dual. Yes. Portillo,
No, and I'm sorry.
Ellis,
No. All right, your motion, your request does not pass. Staff will get with you on the next steps and what your options are. I do think that you do have some options, but they will get with you on those. If you give staff a call tomorrow, they will assist you.
All right, I appreciate your guys' time.
All right, thank you. That ends our new business tonight. Do we have anything for open discussion?
Yeah, just a small note for the record. We did notify via a sign for a public hearing that we were planning to have today on zoning variance 56948. However, due to a technical error with the legal ad, that is being delayed till your February meeting. So just making sure the records show. We were advertising for a public hearing tonight for that one, but we won't be able to have it till next month.
On a sign, you said?
No, we put the public hearing sign out, and it's on the website, but the legal ad didn't make it, so.
No, okay. All righty. With that, we will adjourn our Board of Zoning Adjustments and move right into our regular Planning Commission meeting. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. I keep going. I don't want to stop. All right, let's call to order the January 13th City of Bella Vista Planning Commission meeting. Call the roll, please.
Ellis,
Here.
Farner,
Here.
Plesson,
Here.
Sudbury,
Here.
Portillo,
Here.
Dual. Here. Lloyd.
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum. Next on our agenda is our regular meeting minutes from December the 9th.
I make a motion to be approved as submitted.
Got a motion from Farner,
Second.
second from Klesson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, at this time, we will go ahead and conduct our public input session. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the Planning Commission, we do not have any business tonight other than open discussion, so anything that interests you, please come forward and give us your name and address, and we'll give you 5 minutes to address the Planning Commission. All right, seeing nothing, we'll go ahead and close our public input session and move on to, we have nothing under unfinished business, new business. Do we have anything for committee reports? No, that's fine. All right, we'll move right into open discussion. Director Robertson.
Just wanted to give you guys a brief highlight on our department and you all as well for 2024. Just some quick fun stats just to kind of show just how busy we remain to be. Definitely nothing slowed down. We're all looking at increases. Just to give you an idea of issued permits and what your planning and development staff did. We are up 65% in grading and erosion control with over 910 issued GEC permits for 2024. Residential's up 29% at over 620. Miscellaneous took a small dip in 9%. We have theories as to lake lowerings and things like that. However, we'll look at the 5-year and it jumps right back up. Commercial building permits were up 75% in 2024. Planning reviews were up 32%. And then we're looking at the 5-year comparison issued permits. GECs are up 142%. We were looking at about 375 years ago a year. And now, like I said, 910 in 2024. So quite the increase. Residential's up 129%. Miscellaneous is up 70%, and commercial is up 444%. All over that is a really impressive number, but that, when you look at the actual permits issued, it's like 9 versus 50. So like still quite the jump. The percentage is impressive, but just when you're looking at numbers, not that large. Planning reviews, we are seeing 146 increase from the last 5 years, 2019 versus 2024. 1 year differences, just looking at GEC specifically, that's, just site specific. Someone's getting a permit to clear from us in grade. Last year, we had received 622. This year, 2024, we received 888. So that's a 43% increase in just 1 year. Submitted residential 2023, we had 541 in 2023. We received 810 in 2024 with a 50% increase in single-family residential building permits. And then as mentioned earlier, 5-year increase, GECs, 399 versus 888 in 24, and then 2019 for residential, 293 versus 810 in 2024 for a single-family residential 5-year comparison. Planning reviews that involve you all, we had 327, and then planning reviews and applications, permits that we can review in staff, in-house, we had 780 total. Engineering, 888, residential, 810, commercial, 46, miscellaneous, 959, subcontractors, 670, giving us a total of applications received in 2024, 4,189. As mentioned, we're looking at increases in all those areas within the last 5 years. Quite a significant exponential increase. Typically, you're looking at 30% increases. We're looking at over 100% in the last 5 years. Things are not slowing down by any means. GECs did slow down a little bit after we caught up with them. However, they're still moving right along. Not sure if you guys are interested in infrastructure as I am, but just wanted to give you, do you have a question? Oh, sorry, I thought you were leaning towards the microphone. Known septic systems in Bella Vista, we're up now to 13,708 compared to the entire Benton County of 28,801, making us, our city limits, 48% of the septic systems within Benton County. We have the highest amount of septic systems in our city limits versus Benton County unincorporated or any other municipal city limits. Our sewer's gone up. Our sewer connections have gone up to 3,703. The applications we received in 2024, 89 of those residential building applications were on sewer. So 11% of our development is sewer connected. The remaining is expected to be all on-site wastewater management as alone. Water taps around 16,589 right now, and that includes residential and commercial. And that's essentially the actual permitting / reviews, technical terms. Other important highlights, we've all, with the help of you guys, have passed several ordinances in 2024, including the retaining wall terracing requirements, flood prevention update to reach state compliance, 6 rezones, our first ever outdoor lighting ordinance, the driveway grade update, the zoning notification update, and then temporary grass parking. Bella Vista was also highlighted at the American Planning Association Quad State Conference in 3 separate presentations, which is pretty awesome. I think first ever, I want to say that, but I haven't been able to fact check that. But I think that's the first time we've been highlighted that many times in the Quad State with that many cities represented. Grants. Bella Vista was awarded an $81,000 grant for active transportation awareness and education, and aligned with our bike and ped plan that we will receive this year in 2025 and get to work on. And then also potentially benefiting from a large grant from the EPA to the Regional Planning Commission and Metro Plan. We will benefit with around $500,000 worth of riparian and stream bank restoration improvements. And then, of course, as you know, for the entire year of 2024, your staff is keeping you updated on the development code reform, which we are working to tidy up and start putting dates to paper for public input to start gathering on what we've been working on for the last 16-ish months. Other than that, that's all I really have for you guys. Just wanted to kind of give you a brief overview of what we did last year.
Any questions for staff on that? I mean, I think it shows the growth in the region, but also just the desirability that Bella Vista is becoming, for sure. So, very cool. All right, now accepting applications for a planning commission vacancy. Applications are due January 29th.
Correct.
2025.
This will be Susan's last meeting in February. So we are advertising for a vacancy, and if you guys have anyone, please send them to the website to apply. And we will be giving a goodbye token to Susan next month in February, so.
Okay.
I just, will you just like platinum this for me?
Oh, sure thing.
Put it on a stand.
You want us to
Yeah.
just laminate the cheat sheet for all the rules and procedures?
Mostly the hardship rules, yes.
Yes. All right, anything else for open discussion? All right, seeing nothing, the city council work session will be on Tuesday, January 21st at 5:30 PM with the regular meeting scheduled for January the 27th at 6 PM. Where our next work session is scheduled for Thursday, January the 30th at 4:30 PM with the Board of Zoning Adjustments and Planning Commission scheduled for February the 10th at 2025. And we stand adjourned. Thank you.